Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something totally wild. Dr. Christophe Delong and Kinexa Formation are bringing us a fascinating look at the intersection of artificial intelligence, robotics, and human biology. It's this incredible space where cutting-edge, futuristic technology is actually teaching us about the very thing we inhabit every single day, our own bodies.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole topic. Think about it for a second. Can just a few years of frantic, heavily funded engineering in places like Silicon Valley truly replicate the slow, meticulous, and just breathtakingly complex trial and error of 4 million years of natural selection? Well, we are going to find out by looking closely at how we are currently trying to build humanoid machines and what that massive struggle reveals about us.
So let's jump right into Section 1, Le Pari d'Optimus, Tesla's massive gamble.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at a massive strategic pivot. Back in early 2026, Tesla actually pumped the brakes on their flagship cars, the Model S and X, to focus squarely on their humanoid robot Optimus. Elon Musk literally called it the most important product of all time. Now, you might be wondering why. Well, the math is just staggering. A functional $20,000 humanoid robot represents an economic opportunity that completely eclipses the entire global automotive industry combined.
Just to put that into perspective, let's compare Tesla's Optimus Gen 3 with Boston Dynamics' Atlas. Now, Boston Dynamics spent decades building Atlas, and yeah, it does backflips and parkour, which is amazing. But it's also heavy, around 90 kilos, and costs up to $320,000. It's a high-end enterprise solution. Optimus, on the other hand, weighs in at just 57 kilos and aims for that sub-$20,000 price tag. It's not about doing crazy acrobatics, it's all about affordability and mass market utility in a regular human environment.
Moving on to Section 2, L'ingénierie face à l'évolution, the mirror of mechanics.
You see, by attempting to engineer a humanoid robot that actually works in our everyday world, we're basically forced to hold a mirror up to our own biology. We are watching a dialogue unfold between two totally distinct intelligences of movement. On one side, you have the centralized architecture of robotics, a literal brain firing electrical signals down to actuators. But on the other side, you've got the dizzying, distributed complexity of biological evolution, where intelligence is decentralized across spinal reflexes, elastic tissues, and split-second sensory feedback. It's like comparing a supercomputer to a living ecosystem.
Which brings us to Section 3, Le genou et la marche, anatomy of a machine. For an engineer, the seemingly simple act of walking is essentially a continuous, highly controlled fall. Seriously, every step is a fall you catch at the last second. When Tesla engineers set out to design the Optimus knee, they literally had to open up human anatomy books. They designed a 4-bar mechanism to mimic our femur and tibia. But in humans, we have menisci, these crescent-shaped cartilages that act as shock absorbers, stabilizers, and even sensors. Optimus doesn't have menisci. It just has optimized metal alloys. It solves the walking problem, sure, but with a fundamentally different, completely mechanical architecture. And this perfectly highlights a massive difference in energy. In human biology, our tendons act like literal springs. When we walk, we recover up to 50% of our energy through passive elasticity. We essentially bounce. But robotic engineering, at least right now, relies on active electrical actuators. That means for every single micro movement, every tiny little adjustment just to stay balanced, the robot has to actively calculate and drain battery power to force that movement to happen. The sheer efficiency of the human body's passive economy is something engineering is absolutely desperate to replicate.
Okay, Section 4, La complexité de la main, replicating human dexterity.
Optimus has 22 degrees of freedom in its hands, which sounds incredibly advanced. But does that mean it has a truly human-like hand? Well, the honest answer from biomechanics is it really depends on your framework. As Dr. Delong and Kinexa Formation point out, there are multiple ways to analyze movement, and each one reveals a completely different truth about what a robot can and cannot do.
Let's break these 5 frameworks down because this is fascinating. If you just look at pixels, meaning the visual trajectory of the hand moving through space, Optimus is very close to human. If you look at vectors, the pure mechanics and the force applied, Optimus is actually more measurable and precise than we are. But as we move deeper, diagonals, our neuromuscular synergies, that's highly questionable in a robot. Spirals, the complex 3D biological couplings of our joints, completely absent in Optimus. And finally chains, how the hand connects to the rest of the body. You see, to a robot, the hand is just a tool attached to the end of an arm, but to a human, it's connected to the whole shebang.
Which perfectly sets up Section 5, Au-delà de la robotique,
the ultimate lesson.
So why does all of this matter to you and me? Because this intense robotic struggle is actually revolutionizing human medicine through something called the kinetic chain. The human body is not just a collection of isolated robotic segments bolted together. It's a continuous, living system of tension. If a runner has weak arches in their feet, it directly affects their hips. A robot operates in isolated pieces. We operate as one beautifully connected chain.
And this realization is completely changing clinical practice, because we've now clearly seen the limitations of that robotic, isolated vector approach. Clinicians are shifting how they treat us. Lower back pain isn't just a localized spine issue anymore. It's about reorganizing the whole chain of muscles. If a baseball pitcher is struggling, you look for transmission flaws in the whole chain, not just the visual path of the ball. You don't just rehab a shoulder like you're swapping out a robotic arm. You literally have to rebuild the entire movement system.
This leads us to a beautiful, almost philosophical climax. You might see videos online of Optimists stepping side to side to music, but Optimists will never truly dance. Why? Because true dancing requires intentionality. It requires micro-movements of breathing that connect to the rhythm. It requires a constant, living, microscopic postural tone, a readiness in the muscles even when you're just standing still, that a machine simply doesn't possess. Optimist moves to complete a functional task. A human dances to express the very experience of being alive.
Which brings us to our final thought today. Tesla and other companies are spending billions pushing the absolute limits of AI and engineering to build a humanoid machine. But maybe, just maybe, the greatest return on that investment isn't a robot that can fold our laundry. By spending years and billions of dollars trying to replicate the miracle of human movement, we are finally gathering the data, the frameworks, and the profound appreciation needed to better understand, repair, and heal our own incredibly complex bodies. The quest to build robots is, miraculously, revealing the true wonder of us. Think about that next time you take a simple step. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.